Okay, folks, good evening. Friday evening, we're going to try to do a couple different things to kind of shore everything up. We've got a lot of open projects and going to try to finish some up. So, first thing, we need to clean this mess. This is about as messy you guys have seen this. So, we're just going to do that while we get up and keep me entertained so I don't go to cut this off earlier than I would like. We've got some things that we need to do. We need to cut up some bases. I'll show you what I use for my basing for my vehicles. And I've got a war wagon to put together. We're going to go ahead and put the other war wagon together. That way both of them will be done. And yeah, so we're going to put the basing on this and the Jeep. And I'll show you what I use. And we can do that as well. Just realized I've got something to fix here for my daughter. I've got an earring of hers that I need to fix, so we'll do that as well when we get the epoxy out. So yeah, I have trouble thinking about all this stuff when we got 50 things out here distracting me. So we need one of the things I plan on doing on Saturday, not at the beginning of the day, but sometime during this weekend, is pick up some of this stuff because there's just too much chaos. But one way to get rid of some of that chaos is finish some of these projects. Like we had our two vehicles here. I'm actually not really happy with the way the headlights came out. I do want them cartoonish, but I saw some pictures of something I might want to replicate on there and paint and repaint the headlights on there. If I get around to it, that's just another thing to do. And of course, we've got our Hungarian project here that's winding down. We got 2 war wagons to go. You guys will be done. So, looking forward to being done with these guys and bringing them on the battlefield, and hopefully they'll do okay. They will definitely do better than the. They will definitely be doing better than the. I can't remember what they're called. The Sam Knights. They definitely will be doing better than the Sam Knights. I hope. So we will see. All right, I think we got enough stuff off our table area now, and let's do the old. Oh, we need to loosen this thing up. And flippy. There we go. Yeah, that's about as nasty as you ever get to see. I'm gonna have to change that thing out. I got a whole bunch of new ones that came in the other day. I've got everybody at work collecting the stuff for me, and all this is the back of pads of like paper. You know, you've got left with the cardboard piece, and I love that stuff. So we're going to, you know what? We're talking about it. Let's get rid of this one. This one's distracting me too much. We'll probably end up cutting this one up and using the little parts to mix the epoxy on. We'll do that too. Recycling or repurposing. All right, we're going to need to get some of that. And this is my famous cutting board that I never use. I don't like cutting on this thing because they got to look at something that's being damaged. And I didn't even pay for this one. This one was handed to me for free, and it doesn't matter. I don't want to have to replace it. So, all right, let's get us a new one of these. Especially when you're working on the models, man, you got all those little pieces, and it's easy to one of them to get lost. Okay, so we got that. Let's get these vehicles out, and yeah, we painted that. We just need to epoxy that stuff. So that's the first step. Is we're going to mix up some epoxy and epoxy these guys on the stands. All right, let's, so this is super glued on. And, okay, and all we're gonna do is we're just gonna pop this thing off. It's just a temporary little thing on there. And of course we'll reuse that as well. All right, so we've got the Jeep and the tank. And so what I use for basing is something that I commandeered at work. There was lots of this stuff laying around. And all this is a 16th inch shim. And it's flexible. And some of it laying around. Unfortunately, they're like out of this stuff. Actually, I may not be able to do this guy because this is only, this might be like a 2x2 and it's not big enough for the basing on the tank. I mean, it could work, but I want it to overhang a little bit more. I'd want like the front to be like so on the vehicle, not like that. Because the way I envision it is if it sticks out even with the hole, when I put these in a carrying tray like this, I can put them back to back and the vehicles themselves aren't bumping into each other. Okay, so I've got to wait and do something different with this one. I may end up having to go to the hobby store and get some wood and do it that way, but we're still going to put the magnet on the bottom. So let's just cut up this guy. So all we're going to do is, where is my straight edge? Here it is. I've had this thing for like 10 years, maybe even longer, and finally found a use for it. It's not that I don't know what it's used for. I just haven't needed to use it for that. And we're going to have to wait on the 234.85. So, all right. So all we're going to do with this is find out kind of what size we want. So something like that. Maybe a little bit less meat around it. Something like that. Okay. I gotta put my glasses on. I can see. I can't see it on up close, and when I get about farther than a foot away, I can't see anything. I can't see too good. All right. Yeah, so something like this should be fine. So we're just going to score this. And if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. My life doesn't depend on this. And we're just going to bend this back. It just snaps. And then we'll do the same with the other dimension. Water about right there. Stuff is very slippery in its state right now. All right, we'll save this stuff up for something else. So here's our little base for the Jeep. It's not a Jeep, it's a Gaz. Yeah, whatever. All right. Yes, it's that time. Iced coffee. I need to turn up the brightness on this so I can see a little bit better. See if there's any comments. It's warning me about using too much brightness for long periods. Consumes a lot of energy. Yeah, well, I'm plugged in. I'm good. All right, so we're going to just round off the corners with the clippers. Like I'm clipping corners on the counters. I don't do much board gaming, but way back in the day when I did, that clipping corners wasn't a thing. I don't know whether people just didn't know about it, or I happen to like how it looks. but I really haven't done any of it because it was kind of after my time, let's put it that way. And we're just going to round off the corners here. Musical notes. Just happen to like the look of the rounded corners better than the sharp ones. But sharp ones would work as well. Something like this is probably not that necessary to even be on a stand. I just like the look of it. And I like the fact that it's I can make it magnetic. And then it makes it a lot easier to bring them around with you if you need to travel with them or what have you. So I don't know when the hell we're going to be playing World War II stuff, but if we do, we will be ready to go. All right, I still have a piece of, this one should work just fine. Although I think the other one I had was a little bit rougher. Sandpaper is what I'm looking for. Here we go. This is the one I was using. So we're going to rough this up because it makes it easier for things to stick on here. This is one of those things that would have never occurred to me. You know, when I was a kid, there's no way, well, why are you doing this? So something would adhere. And I wouldn't get it until I ended up basing a lot of things, and I'd epoxy it down, and the epoxy would just come off. It wouldn't glue on it. So, you know, young, ignorant me wouldn't have known that. Just like when I first started doing miniatures, I didn't prime stuff. I didn't seal things after when I was done painting. What is that? Okay, so we've got the little base this guy's going to go on. We're going to mix up some epoxy. We're going to epoxy him down. Okay, we're going to hold off on this. I may just have to do wood on the rest of this stuff. I did find a place that had these, that has this material. We're out of it at work, and but they want like $75 for more than I'll ever use in my lifetime. So I'm not sure that I need to do that. I do like the fact that it doesn't warp at all, and it was free. I mean, that also helps. And I like the thickness of it. This is, or lack thereof, which that reminds me, before I epoxy, we're gonna cut the little magnet to size we fits on. And kind of sheet magnet I've already started. And here it is. And this is just kind of generic stuff. Where is my, and I don't want it to be as big as the edge. I want it to go inside a little bit. And that length's probably fine. So if I go like so. And this is on the underside. Nobody's really going to even see this. All right, so let's take about that much off. Okay, and then we're going to take some thickness off. Some width, not thickness. Let's take a little bit more off. Not much. And that should fit on there. Like so. Okay. This is not a Litco product, unfortunately. This is not Litco approved. All right. All right. So this is our little, and see, this is a relatively thin stand, so when you add the other one, it doesn't really add much thickness to it. And I actually like that there's a little bit of a gap. I mean, it's really small between, well, it's the thickness of this, between the magnet and the base. It makes it a little easier to get your fingers up underneath it and grab it. So, all right, save all those spare pieces. Okay, so we're going to, not that side, we're going to epoxy this thing down on here, and we'll build our war wagon at the same time, the other war wagon. All right, so I haven't pulled this stuff out in a very long time, since it came in, since the beginning of, oh, and we're going to epoxy this thing as well, which is, this is one of these things for, it's an earring for my daughter, so it's just inexpensive. It's just, we're going to epoxy that. I don't think it was probably originally epoxied. I bet it had super glue on it, and honestly, super glue isn't. I'm not the biggest fan of super glue. So we're going to do that as well, and we'll build a war wagon. All right, let's find the other war wagon. Now, this came from Alternative Armies. And they made things right, let's put it that way. Which is funny, you guys watched that video of the snafu of the war wagon. Hello, Marchin, how are you? If you watch the snafu of that video, I had bought this from a vendor on eBay, and I reported there was a problem, and they still haven't contacted me about it, but somehow the manufacturer found out about it, so I don't know. Okay, so here is the other one. They sent me a whole other. I was like, what is this that came in here? And I guess it's an ad for some of their other stuff. What is this? 15, 20 millimeter larger. No, what caught my attention was its instructions. Like, what, there's instructions for this war wagon? No, it's about their resin figures or something or another. So, great service from Alternative Armies. So, no, they don't sponsor this, but when people do a good job, they deserve recognition. But anyways, the vendor still hasn't contacted me with the email. So, that doesn't bode really well for them. I don't think a whole lot of them, but there's no reason to mention who they are. They do a lot of business on eBay. So, I don't know. You'd think they'd say like, yeah, we heard about your problem and we've contacted the manufacturer for you. But the manufacturer, Alternative Army, says they found out because they're subscribed to my channel. So, hey, good on them. I will be ordering stuff from them again. Whenever it is that I need something, which may be a while. Okay, so let's look at the war wagon we have that is finished, that I was happy with. There was no instructions for it, but I consulted some pictures online for it, and this is what I came to the conclusion of what it should look like. Now, if memory serves me right, there's still another part that I need to put on it. It's floating around here somewhere. If we're going to epoxy a bunch of stuff, I'm going to go ahead and epoxy my Pack 38 too. Hey, it's a smorgasbord evening here. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. I thought the piece was in here somewhere, like the little steps that go on it. Now, they sent me another war wagon. The piece I'm talking about is this. It basically sits like so, like a way for the figures to get in. But I can't put that together. It's got to go by itself after it's on the stand. Okay, I digress. I'm just talking in circles. All right, so we got Pack 38. It'll turn up somewhere. I've got it. I just pushed it off to one side, so we don't need that door right now. Okay, so we need a floor. We need the floor panel. We need this back side. And this one folds on it like that. And then we have the two sides, which are like this. And we're going to need the undercarriage part and the four wheels and an axle. Oh, this is cool. My first one didn't have this at all. Okay, I think that's all we're gonna need right now. So we're gonna go ahead and put that back in the box. And there's actually a couple different ways you can build this. None of it came with instructions. So I actually had to, there's a picture of it. This is really weird. There's a picture of it. Let's set that, oh, here's the other one. There's a picture. Oh, and it's open on the other side. All right, that's not gonna work. There's a picture of a completed war wagon on their site, and that's what I had to consult when I built the first one. So let's just take all these extra parts. Because what happened is, give you the short version, I bought 2 war wagons from this vendor on eBay, and they said they were new. One of the packages was cut, like it was cut open. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think somebody went in there and took a piece, but the part that was missing was the floor plate. So I couldn't build it. So that was that's kind of a problem. But it's all good. All right. So we need to clean up all this stuff up. And you know what? We're not going to do that. We are going to do that, but I can't do all this with one batch of epoxy. I'm going to have to mix 2. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this, glue the thing for my daughter, and maybe even the Pack 38. And we'll move that stuff to the side. And while that's drying, then I will, I'll go ahead and file all this stuff up, clean it up. Then we'll glue this. By the time I glue that, then I can go ahead and put the goop on the base of here. Just got to keep it going so we're not just sitting here and idling. Let's say when I paint, I pretty much stay on top on the same task. I don't have to wait for drying time. But with some of this other stuff, you know, you can't. The goop phase is one you want to get to because it's going to take 6 to 8 hours for that to dry. So if I don't goop this guy now, I can't paint him in the morning. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually paint the 2 war wagons first together. Then we'll do all the crews, and you know the crews are hanging out over here. They're on pennies, but one thing's for sure is we want to cut them off the stand because I don't want the stand showing when I glue them on here. And I've seen people do that. They'll put like a crew on here and they're left with a little tab between the legs. I don't want that because that's noticeable. So we're going to attempt to take that off after we've painted them. And hopefully it doesn't create a problem for me. I'm a big boy. I'm sure I could handle figuring that out. But we're going to be careful doing that. I didn't want to go through the trouble of taking their feet off now and then putting a pin and then drilling a hole. That's just too many steps, you know. That's just too many steps. I have put a chariot crew on, and it was the same method that I used with the chariot crew. It wasn't an issue. All right, so let's start off by putting a little bit on each one of the tires, and I'm going to have to adjust the camera here, but sorry, I can't do that this second. I got this this goopy stuff I'm dealing with. All right, let's see. There we go. That's probably a little better. All right, and let's take this little guy, and we're just going to drop him like so. And this is resin, but this thing doesn't weigh anything at all. All right, who's next on the fix-it list? Move this guy off to the side where he can't get messed with. Right, this. Both sides look like they're the same. Let's go ahead and put it on here. This is the stuff called Polymer Clay. Okay, we'll set that thing over here. All right, let's look at this Pack 38 that is about to break off. It may actually be broken off. As much as I'd like to put this stuff not on a stand, I don't think there's much chance that I'm going to be able to do that. It's pretty much going to have to go on a stand. I'll put the crew loose, because if you engage this gun and you kill one of the crew members, I want to be able to eliminate them from being visible. I don't want them to be seen. Like, hey, there's a guy there. Well, he's not really there. This is sitting at this was like in a parts box and got damaged bad. I could just buy a plastic one, right? But I already have this one, so let's looks like this was glued at one point. Let's get the X-Acto knife here. See if we can cut ourselves on live YouTube. I'm sure that's happened out there. So when I first got this, I thought it was like a bad casting of it, because I don't know why I was under the impression that a Pack 40 and a Pack 38 looked the same. Pack 38 was just a smaller version of the 40, and they don't. I find that Pack 40 is a lot more elegant. This one is weird looking. It has to do with the gun shield. Just seems like it's open too much. It's not the one on the Pack 40 is a little bit more closed in, enclosed. So we don't mind if this is hardening up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and drop this on. What else is sitting on here? Nothing else. I think it's only parts touching. Oh, we want it to be resting on that as well. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna put some right here. This, I believe, is a Rapham 20 millimeter white metal casting of this weapon. I believe this is Rapham. I have some of their vehicles. I have a Panzer II Lux and a Czech 38. And what else do I have by them? That may be it. And this firearm. Yes, it's a rather large firearm. Yes. Okay, we'll set this guy off to the side. You go over there and dry. That one will probably be in Panzer Gray, whenever we get around to painting it. I got all kinds of stuff to build for the Germans. It's out of control that I've collected over the years. We're just going to work on the Russians. It's the smallest amount. Then we'll do the Americans, and we'll do the Germans. Okay. Any commentary? Oh, hello. Will, hello, Will. You have 4 or 5 of those wagons. They're a little bit of work, but they look pretty cool. Yeah, they are. They're all right. They're all right with epoxy. I know when I was younger and I started getting into this miniatures hobby, I didn't know about epoxy. And doing this with super glue would make me want to tear my hair out for sure. But epoxy is much more forgiving, easier to work with. All of those things. But this is a casting that's been, I think, around the block for many years. And, as you use it, the original gets damaged, so to speak. And we have to do the undercarriage there. Oh, I see. Okay, perfect. I did it once, but man, I'll be damned if I didn't forget how it goes. Okay, so of course, and I'll bring one of those 40 by 40 stands so you guys can see. I'm going to put mine on a 40 by 40. Because for gameplay purposes, it makes it a hell of a lot easier than on one of those long ones. So I know I've already checked the first one for fit, but I'll bring it out here to check this other one as well. You want to make sure that it does not stick outside the parameters, the perimeter of this 40 by 40 stand, or it's going to make things uncomfortable and a problem to deal with on the gameplay surface. So, if you look at this, it fits on there just fine. So one axle sits back here, and the other axle sits up here that would eventually, there's a little round part here, would eventually connect to the rest of the horses and such. But since I'm not going to have that, I cut it off here at this joint. So that's what we're going to do there as well. Cut it off right there. Give it a circumcision. I'm the miniature moil. We don't need that part. All right. Cut this off there. And I believe I had a little bit of a problem with these wheels fitting in there properly ahead of time. So we're going to test fit all that stuff. Anytime you use epoxy, you want to test fit stuff before you put the epoxy on, because if you go and put epoxy, say like on these tires, and then you go put the tire up against it, that's a pretty sound, and then it doesn't fit, now you've got this epoxy glue everywhere. So it's not too many things to fit. What I'm talking about is, does this go in here as such, and we'll make sure that all that fits on there. Okay, so this is yeah, so each one of these wagons, I'm going to have 4 guys with firearms in them, shooting out in one direction. So that way it's easy to define which side is the front. And I'm going to have a guy with a spear on the ground behind that with some kind of a flag. I'm thinking. This is just what I've brainstormed so far. I may change my mind on it, but that's just kind of what I'm looking at. So that would be 10 figures total more I got to paint. And these will be mostly wooden colored. There's going to be a crest of arms that's going to be on each one of them, of some Hungarian crest of arms or something like that, like I've done on my spearmen and stuff like that. You'll see that. And that's at least what I'm going with so far. All right. So let's clean this up. All right, so one side has this, and this should fit inside of here. Oh, sorry, other side. This should fit like this. All right, that's reasonably well. Ah, yes, we got to clean some of this off. I need to get a small file set. I'm just out of the habit of using a file. I just exact the knife everything. So. Gonna buy a file. I went to the store to buy a file set the other day, and I realized the only one they had there came from a country of manufacture that I'm trying to not buy things from. I will say nothing else, but I'm trying to do my part. So, like, no, I'm not gonna buy that. I don't think it's bad enough. Okay, I think this should fit in there pretty well. Let's open up this side a little bit. I think that's probably what's going to push me over the edge to actually get some brushes that aren't pieces of shit. Is when I buy more brushes, I'm not going to buy the ones that come from that place. So that's going to force me to maybe even get some Winsor and Newton ones or something else. So we will see. Okay. I think this fits on here relatively well-ish. Okay. Let's check this just fits on top of it. On the back side like this, let's clean this up. No, you're clean. Go over there. Good boy. Oh, somehow this chair got jacked all the way up. Oh, there we go. That's better on my neck. I'm not having to bend over. I'm not at work anymore. No more bending over, please. All right, this is the part that fits on the back side of this. That's definitely a job for epoxy. Okay, so those two are good. Now we'll do the two short ends here and this side goes like so. Okay, good. This could be a little bit cleaner. And this side would fit here. And that fits on there relatively well. It's not perfect. It's weird the way this, maybe that's what I gotta do. Maybe I gotta bend it. Well, that's better. I don't want to break that and then have to glue that at a certain angle. It's not perfect. These are homemade things. So supposedly these war wagons came from the Hussites. The Hussites were done with the war with the Germans, or they went to greener pastures, and they lent their experience services to the Hungarians who were looking for mercenaries, and they hired them. And that's where these war wagons supposedly come from. So I've read. Okay. All right. So just deciding at what point do I need to put that on there. Oh, well, we still need to do the tires. Let's not get crazy. The wheels. Although I think somebody told me the other day that they're still considered tires, but I've always considered things covered in rubber tires. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'll choose to speak the English language how I damn well please. Okay. Now this is the part we got to test fit and make sure this thing's deep enough to. Okay, so that wiggled in there just fine. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we're going to paint both of these guys at once. They're probably going to be the same shade of brown. They don't have to be, but they will be in this case. Okay, that one's done. Next, this one. Oh, the whole country's freezing. We were hot as crap here until today. Today was one of those days that the warmest it ever was when I went into work. And then it got cooler as the day got by. As I like to call it, more pleasant. I'll take all the cold weather I can get for as long as I can get it here, because this is endless summer. Which is a pain for those of us that work inside and out and inside and out. Okay, interesting. This one's not cast all the way in. That's why I wanted to check it. We don't want this surprise when we've got epoxy drying on our ass. Okay. Drink. Iced coffee. 41 minutes already? Jeez. This stuff takes time. It's not difficult, but it takes time. Honestly, I think putting this stuff together is it takes less patience than doing the plastic models. Plastic models, just, the pieces are so finicky and they don't weigh anything and they disappear on you. It's whatever you're used to, I guess. Man, that guy's got a loud vehicle. Put a muffler on it, dude. Okay. So the other day that we did the Q&A, we were going to play a battle afterwards. I decided to do the Q&A first, so it didn't take too long to get that out. But then I ran out of steam, so we didn't do any gaming, which is just maybe next week the same thing will happen. But we'll have some kind of a video. At least that's what the intent is. Well, this one's smaller, but we'll go ahead and start this one up as a pilot. Let's not do that. Change my mind. Be flexible. And we're going to put this one at the chuck side. That's the bigger one. I actually don't own a Dremel tool. I have a non-brand generic one that my wife ended up picking up for me at a garage sale for, I don't know, $5 or something like that. And it's certainly worth $5, but honestly, this stuff that I'm doing, it's a power tool for in this setting is just too powerful. Even at the slowest setting, it's unnecessary. It's too much octane or horsepower for what we need here. So, okay, now this should fit in better. Yeah, we still can drill some more out of it. It's one of those things, I don't mind having those tools, but when I have them, I feel like I need to justify them. So I need to do stuff with them, and I just can't justify a Dremel tool or an airbrush. I don't want to spend $600 on something because I'll get a good one. with a good compressor, and then, get frustrated by having to clean it in the garage where it's hot. So I'm not going to airbrush in my house. Meanwhile, I can do all this hobby and stuff in the war room. Climate controlled war room at about 70 degrees or whatever it is. Not that it couldn't be colder, but it isn't right now. I don't run the heater at home. And I remember one year it was 53 in the house. Didn't turn on the heater. You know how much you got to pay in utilities to get down to 53, and just available free if you do it on the right day. Okay, now let's test fit this again. These may be a little bit long. I think that's what it is. Let's cut this down just a wee tad. Oh, just a wee tad. That's all it'll take. And this one as well. All right, now you might have to do this in 2 shots. I don't remember how I did it. Man, loud people's car day out. Okay. Here. There's always more waste of the epoxy that you want to use. Just one of those things. It's a lot less waste than when you're doing those 2-part epoxy where you have to squeeze the syringe out. And invariably you'll have to squeeze more to one side than the other, and that just creates such a huge mess. Oh, this is the stinky one. Which is this one? The resin or the hardener? The hardener. Stinky. You notice that stuff when you end up using paints that don't have any smell at all. And all of a sudden, like, what is this hobby stuff that's smelling? All right, coffee. Who's the idiot having coffee at this time? That would be me. That's how you get things done. I got online to get things done, not to not get things done. Not getting things done doesn't get you anywhere. Okay, that's relatively even. Come over here. I'm doing this stuff first because it's a little bit easier to deal with. We want to put the sides. When you do the sides, I wouldn't mind if put a little bit on the side here. I wouldn't mind if this was a little harder. Although I probably should have done the sides first, but what the hell, you know? No, I want to make sure that's straight on there. Wait for this to harden a little bit. Unless I can flip this over and get away with it. Well, I thought I could get away with it. There we go. We could always put the tires on later. That part I'm not worried about. All right. I think I put the other one online. Yeah, I put the other one while I was on live. I was figuring it out as I went. All right. And this is the long side. We want to put that towards the outside. And my apologies if you can't see what's going on, but I can't move or this will fall apart. Yeah, I remember this being a multiple step process. All right. It's been so long ago that I built the other one. Anywho, you guys know any good jokes? No? Okay. Enjoying doing the World War II stuff. Hadn't done it in 20 years. That's kind of cool. Going back to my roots. That's all I used to game was World War II stuff. So, yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to wait for this to harden. It's okay. What else did I see this week? So I don't do a whole lot of TV watching, but I did catch a movie I thought that I had seen before, but I don't think I had. And I think what happened is I had seen clips of it at Historicon. There's one of the movie vendor guy. I believe his name is Bell and Blade. Yeah, Bell and Blade. He always sells stuff at Historicon. He sells T-shirts, morale patches, tin signs, and movies. Some of them which are difficult to get a hold of. Pretty much war movies. And there's this movie from Russia, so you know it's going to be not a propaganda film, considering it's from Russia, but called White Tiger, and it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon right now, and I actually caught it, and I thought I had seen it before because some of the scenes seem memorable, but it's just this particular vendor replays like the action sequences and stuff like that out of it. So I sat through a couple hours of that and just what a piece of crap. I just didn't like it at all. It's it's not worth my time, but I don't have to watch it again. So I watched that a couple days ago. I think finished it out, and I think over the weekend, the past weekend, I had rewatched the Stalingrad movie from 1993, the German one, and because I remember I really liked it. No, I wasn't so impressed this time. I mean, it was okay. It was amazing after not seeing something for about 20 years, and I've only seen it one time, how your memory of the details are different than what actually happened in the movie. So, It was all right. It's just not something I want to see again. But yeah, getting the Eastern Front stuff on. That's always what I like doing about World War II is Eastern Front. As I like to say, which rat bastard do you want to play? You know. So that's always like the Eastern Front. I don't want to get sent to the Eastern Front, but I like the game, the Eastern Front. Good movie. I thought the end scene was cool. Which one? White Tiger? Were you on drugs? You ever see movies, I'll tell you what, I've never done drugs before. Well, other than alcohol, ibuprofen, nicotine, many moons ago, many moons ago. That's it. So some of these movies I'll watch and like, yep, this doesn't make sense to me because I've never done drugs. So I didn't like the end scene in White Tiger at all. I don't like the end scenes in a lot of movies. It's almost like they get going on a good roll, or maybe they'll never get in a roll. The other movie I started watching, I watched maybe a third of it, is that Panfilov's 28. I need to go back and watch that. But I like T-34 better. Even though T-34 was a bad story, the special effects are just. I don't know if there's a movie that has better special effects than that. That's how good those special effects are in that movie. As unrealistic as that is. That's what I always liked about skirmish gaming. When I skirmish game World War II, I visualize, you know, that's what I want my skirmish gaming to be. Slow motion. Okay, roll to see if you hit the vehicle. You did. Okay, where did it hit? What was the slope there? Does it penetrate? All right. What are the effects of the shrapnel on the crew? That kind of stuff. That's what I want to see in a movie. I don't want to play Flames of War. I want to play, you know, did Yuri get did when it went into his tank, that it set something else off in there? Did he bang his head? That's the kind of stuff I want to see. Um, White Tiger. The conversation from Hitler's ghost. Yeah, that was just the ending was weird. Like they had the surrender scene, all right, where the people are marching through town. Okay, cool. And then they were like at the surrender table, and like the German generals were eating. I'm like, okay, I don't know why that's there. Um, I think what I need to do is I need to watch Downfall again and get the bad taste out of my mouth because Downfall was freaking awesome. Downfall is a great movie, and that one's on Amazon or Netflix on right now. So that's a superb movie. So, although it's very limited in scope, but anyhow, I have trouble watching World War II movies because you end up knowing. I feel like I know too much about some of that stuff. I'm like, no, you should just called me. I would have told you what to use. No, don't use that. Use this. Oh well, I digress. Um, that's why for those of us that are historical gamers, like we just can't deal with those kind of errors because it's like we're here. All somebody needed to do was consult us, and we tell you, we tell you what's wrong with it. So one of the other movies I don't remember what it's called, but one of these other movies they always would play at that Bell and Blade would always play was is a Russian movie. I believe it's from 1968, and it's a series. I don't remember what it's called that follows I believe it follows a group of Russian guys from say like Kursk all the way to the fall of Berlin or something like that. But there's a couple of scenes that they always showed that I don't remember what it's called. It's probably another propaganda film, again, but it had a scene where I believe it was a curse. There's a Russian tank crew and a German tank crew that knock each other out, and they get out of the tank and they go into hand to hand, and they're almost like a bad Bruce Lee movie or something like that, where they get into hand to hand combat with, in a brawl. I thought that was unique. And then there was another scene in it where they take a 76 millimeter anti tank gun. There's a scene where I guess it's got to be like Dresden or Berlin or something like that. It's got to be a big city with a subway system, and maybe it's just Berlin, where there's a troublesome MG-42 that's set up in a subway car. They have an entrance into a subterranean subway, and for some reason the Russians have to get through that spot, and the Germans created a strong point based on an MG42 that was just mowing people down, and they just didn't know how to deal with it, and they these guys these 6, 7 guys, whatever they were, they manhandled a crash boom, a 76 millimeter anti-tank gun, a Russian anti-tank gun, down the steps into this subway and let them have it with a couple of HE rounds. And I thought that was kind of unique, but I don't remember what it's called. It's, definitely, I believe it's from 1968. So it's a Brezhnev type propaganda film, I'm sure, where, but I don't remember what it's called. T-34 was all right. It had an existential kind of feel to it. Cross of Iron, still my favorite Eastern Front film. Yeah, well, of course. It has that catchy tune at the beginning. Yep. I'm almost done reading or as I like to say, have it read to me, because I'm not really good about reading books. I'm a big fan of Audible, and it's a memoirs of a German machine gunner on the Eastern Front that's called Blood Red Snow. It's on Audible. I'm almost all the way through it, and it's okay. I mean, it's it's um, it's not really it's not that captivating, but I'm like, I started it, I'm going to go ahead and finish it. But I worry about some of these memoirs because sometimes it's almost like they're written after the war, and that they put things in there to. I'm not sure if it's this one, but just in general, they put things in there that maybe not make themselves seem so bad, but I don't know, make them seem more humanizing or whatever. I'm telling you, if I was on the Eastern Front fighting for whichever of the two sides, man, I wouldn't take any prisoners. I'd be without that the stuff you see. I'd be just merciless. I just know how it would be, And it's like none of the stuff that I've read, like any of the people are that way. So it's like maybe the people that were could read, weren't motivated enough to read a book. But yeah, if I see my buddies getting mowed down like that and stuff, yeah. Oh, did I just screw up something fierce? Hold on a second. I did. Well, not fierce, but we got to get a move on, right? So we've got to put this. You guys that see these people that finish these models and they're like, man, these guys are wizards and everything. Yeah, they made mistakes. They just didn't show you on the video. I'm not scared of showing you that I'm human. And as much as I don't like to make mistakes, shit happens, you know. So it's all right. It's all good. If your gun never jams, you don't know how to clear a jam, right? All right. As we were. I put one of these together, but you just can't do this with super glue. Or I can't do it with super glue. Let's put it that way. The wizards of YouTube. Or of the hobby. They put stuff on there. Like I feel these guys that do these vehicles, now that I see, and my common response to them is they look so much better than the real vehicle. If you put the real vehicle next to this 72nd scale model, the real vehicle would just look like ass. That's how good these guys are that do this stuff. So you make the real vehicle look like crap. All right, we're gonna have to tinker with this as it dries a little bit. Okay. It was evil on evil. You bet. Well, there's normal people caught up in it as well. It's like you got to go fight her. I put a bullet in the back of your head, so you kind of have to. But yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah. You need to read a book on why they even dealt with the Russians. I just don't understand why the Western Allies even like made a deal with the Russians. I mean, hell, they got what Stalin got what he deserved. He made a deal with the Germans, and then he backstabbed them. Well, what do you think? And the Western Allies were helping out Finland when the Russians attacked them. But oh well, maybe I got a little bit too much of my dad in me. He always would say the same thing. He never understood why Western Allies dealt with the Russians. Like they had to fight them no matter what. It's interesting going and reading things that I haven't that new information's come out from the fall of the Soviet Union because pretty much all this stuff when I was really into World War II, the USSR was still around. For the most part. Yeah, because I stopped doing World War II gaming at the late '90s. And yeah, the Yeltsin stuff had already kind of taken, but it took a while for the archives and stuff to open up, which is, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but it gives you another perspective. It's not like, no matter what you're learning from, if you're only hearing it from one side, you're not getting the full story, you know, for whatever reasons. So it's good to kind of re-examine things and maybe look at things from a different point that was available when you were younger. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hi, Tony. Hey, John. How you doing, John? I don't think we're going to be able to see each other in July, but maybe another July. Looking kind of grim there, but we'll still be here. John, having a cold day up there, I'm sure. John, what part of Canada are you in? Are you in? I know you're in Ontario somewhere. Is it Ottawa or whatever? Because one thing I want to ask you guys is, so my favorite set of World War II rules is actually written by a Canadian, and they're out of print. And his name is Michael E. Ball, and this is the name of his rules. And I want to say Howard or somebody like that said that he goes to y'all's game group, or used to sometimes. It's called The Face of Battle. It's published in 2001, and it's long out of print, and I really like it. And I am going to, my goal for 2021 is, don't hold me to it, is to learn how to play these games, rules again. I've played them like 3 or 4 times and really, really liked them. They were really close to what me and a buddy of mine were trying to come up with on our own. And they're not like DBA in that the stuff in here makes sense. Um, but that's my goal for 2021 is to put a game on, not necessarily for the guys, for myself. I need to play probably 6 games, just small scale, to just kind of get how everything works again. And then when I present it to other people, it'll run smooth and not bog down because they're super granular, but that's what I like in World War II rules, you know. So let me know if you know who he is up there. He's his website that's listed on there is down. He's not on Facebook. Um, just kind of wanted to give him a high five, Tell him, hey, there's some idiot in the United States that still plays your rules, London. Okay, London, which is near Toronto, I believe. The other London. Probably the London that's nicer to live in. I'd rather live in your London, I think. I'm not a fan of big, big cities, so. Okay, let's roll this guy to the other side. And yeah, we'll get this done. We want to get this guy done, primered, so we can hit the ground running on the early morning and paint both of these boogers up. That'll be awesome. Did I put the epoxy away? No, I didn't. Good, because that would be silly. halfway between Toronto and Detroit. I'd offer to sell you Detroit, but you don't want it. Nah, I've never been out there. I've heard the stories. Yeah, it's a shame because this year we actually found a place to what's this? We have a foot of snow, nice and chilly. Man, for somebody who never gets to see snow, for me it's like another planet. It's really, really cool. I can't handle how dry it is, the dryness of cold weather. It's really bad for my skin, and it makes me extremely itchy. But it's good for my soul, bad for my skin. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I definitely like it. It's like going to another planet. But I don't want to live in it because I don't want to shovel it. I don't rake. Hey, these are painting hands, not raker's hands. I had to rake as a kid. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. We pulled 103 bags of leaves one time out of a big oak tree that we had in our backyard. I'm like scarred for life. I'm like, I'm not doing that again, ever. Okay, I think this will do it. The multi-stage epoxy job. That's what snow blowers are for. Yeah. I've been in it twice, Utah and Colorado. And it's really creepy. I'll tell you the creepy part is that part where we are up at a big basin and you're walking across it and you don't know whether it's going to hold your weight or not or sink. And it's really weird. It's really weird for somebody who's over 45 years old to experience that for the first time. You're like in a swamp. It's like you're in a swamp, but obviously it's very clean, but kind of creepy. But absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, just like I don't give a palm tree a second look. And, people that live in snow all the time be like, that's just human nature. That's how we survived the ice age. You have a big TV, you buy a 60-inch TV. You're used to a 36. You buy a 60-inch TV, you're like, wow, this thing's amazing. A week later, and then, you're not impressed. That's just how we adapt and overcome. So snow's okay until you have to drive in it day after day. Or gray skies. I can't deal with gray skies. I cannot deal with gray skies. Craig Zimka, welcome. Snow. First time I see real snow was in Illinois. We don't we don't do snow in Australia. Okay. Try crossing at Bailey Bridge. Real dodgy. I guess that's what they said in Texas too. Yeah, they're not prepared for that. But they got some days off, bastards. I tell you what, I can't deal with those gray skies. Those skies are just, it's the same, what I call it's the same time of day all day long. That just that just drains you. It's not for me. Well, I could deal with it. I prefer not to. How about that? All right, so now we're going to use, I may have to use epoxy for this. Oh, this one's cracking. What? No. Well, maybe it just looks cracked. Cork, one of the few things you'll see me with cork. So people in the UK do not know this. People, probably nobody from the UK is listening right now because it's night time for them. But the big difference between the UK and the United States, from what I've noticed, is wood is extremely expensive in the UK. Okay, because they hadn't built the whole damn fleet, and they cut all the trees down, so the wood's really expensive over there. So they'll use like card and stuff for basing or metal basing or stuff like that, whereas we use plywood and stuff like that here in the States. But cork is extremely expensive here in the, well, for what it is. Okay, it's not like this is made of gold or anything, but cork is, and you know, if you're gonna buy like a cork board or something like that, a lot of the you'll see the how to make like walls and stuff like that. A lot of them will use like cork. Cork is very expensive for what it is here in the United States. It's relatively cheap in the UK because it's close to Portugal, which I didn't know that's where basically all cork comes from. And you know, and the UK and the Portuguese have been in cahoots for a long time. They've had like the longest standing understanding for hundreds of years since like the Hundred Years' War. So you know, and it's all the way over there. So cool stuff, but these weren't expensive. I don't know where I got them from. I may have lifted them from somewhere at work. I don't know. I think they had some extra ones. Anyhow, so I don't. This is just to put this guy on here while I paint him. So you think it's safe now to flip him? Let's see. Because all we're going to do is we're going to glue this on like so. Woo! Hello. I think we better use. I think we better use epoxy. We'll mix up yet another batch. It's all right. It's not a big deal. It's just it's strange to have to do this. And oh, am I going to get lucky? There's still some alive here. It's alive. Let's see if we can get away with this. Yeah. Let me not glue myself in it. Thank you. This should work. All right. Maybe we won't be able to paint it black because this has got to dry enough to can hold on to this thing. Let's. Ooh, look at that. Already. Epoxy is wonderful. Magic. All right. If it ever snowed here like it did in Texas, we'd be cactus. Australia. Australia, where it's tomorrow. It's Tomorrowland. Hey, you guys got one day less of a weekend. Ha! No, they got it one day early. Damn it. Lots of folks in Australia. Would love to go to Australia. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It's so far for us to travel. We're Americans. We're overworked. No, we're under weekend. We're under free. We're under free time off. Yeah. Yeah, I have very limited time off, so it's okay. I'm getting fine. I'm getting by just fine, so I'm not going to complain. But I would have to take like 2 weeks off straight, and that's just the place had burned down. Or let's put it this way: it wouldn't, but when I got back, I wish it had. All right, let's see how the Jeepster's doing. Yeah. Oh, look, they slide. Whee! On the magnet. All right, let's get our little magnetized thing here. And we're going to go ahead and goop it. Always keep moving. Always do something. That's why it does. Thank you. That's why I started doing the World War II stuff. Because I would always keep, I want to keep moving. You know, if I got to wait for something to get done. Oh, this is the one I never use anymore. I don't use it anymore because it's the one that I use for the desert and stuff. So it's not as rocky looking. That's the one I use for the dunes. Dunes. Resin sand. That's what we want here. All right. Liquitex resin sand. Let's get our devices. Man, we're awfully close here. Checking for spiders in your shoes and snakes or under your bed is not a fun holiday. Spiders? Come on, you're a big boy. You can't be scared of spiders. Well, unless you're talking about those camel spiders or something like that. But flying roaches, that's what I can't handle. Oh. I'll take snakes over flying roaches. I can't handle flying roaches. Those are creepy. Snakes are cool. I just don't want them in my house or on me. But all right, let's get us some of this. I might have to get creative trying to get under here, or maybe it won't be that bad. I did the other tanks just fine like this. When I do the chariots, or when I do these war wagons, I'm gonna have to get creative. What I'm gonna have to do is I'll put them on this stand after these are completely done, and I'll mark where their tires are, and then I'll take the thing off, and then I'll goop everywhere except right up to where the tire is, and and paint everything, and then come in and then epoxy this guy in, and then just goop tiny around where the tire is. That's what I had how I had to do chariots, and it worked out just fine. It's just multiple steps. You can't do it all in one shot like I'm used to. So yeah, it's a shame about this year because we actually got a room at the actual hotel at Historicon for once, which would make things life a lot easier. But we still have it. We haven't canceled it yet. We'll just have to see when we get a little closer what it's going to mean. Is it first of all going to be held? Is it going to be held and then be like too restrictive? Like you got to wear, like, you can go, but you got to wear 15 masks on at one time. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. It costs a lot of treasure and a lot of time off for us to drive 14 hours to be inconvenienced. So we'll see. We'll just see how it is. I haven't canceled my room or anything yet. So I go for the people, really. I don't need to go for the shopping. I go for the beers and the experience of meeting the folks that, we communicate every year with. Because I don't go for the gaming. I mean, I game every week. I mean, we game more than anybody else, I would think. Um, I mean, I know several people that are like, they haven't played a game and like with another person face to face in over a year. I'm like, wow. 2020 was, what did I call it? More of what you don't like, and none of what you like, and more of what you don't like. So work was extremely busy for us, and no vacations or hobbies stuff, trips, or none of that. So I suspect 2021 will be the same way. So that's all right. It's not going to catch us off guard. We already know what's coming for us. So oh, let's see here. Da-da-da-da-da. Sounds like my childhood in New Mexico. Is New Mexico cool? Haven't been there. Although I think New Mexico is one of those states out west that has too many rules, if you know what I'm saying. I think New Mexico is one of those. It's so far. How do you like that Mortem at Gloriam Pacto? Or are you playing the full version? I'd love to give that Pacto a shot. I just don't want to play 200 games wrong before I figure out how to get it right. But I think I watched a video on it. It looked interesting. Lots of different ways to skin a cat, but like I've mentioned before, I don't mind playing other games. I just can't be the guy that takes point on other rules anymore. It's not worth it. Maybe if I was retired and didn't have any things to. Bad economy, very pretty. Yeah, I figured the very pretty goes without saying. You play all versions, well written. Yeah, it's got to be better written than you know what. It's got to be better organized than you know what. That's a shame. Uh, It's really unsatisfying to play things wrong, at least for me. So I don't have a big interest in like playing other rule sets and figuring them out on my own because I know I'm going to be like fail, 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 fail. You know, just frustrating. That's all. Jeez, it's early. I feel like it feels like it's 10:30. It's like just dying. Like what? And we'll scrub some out here like it's driven across here and disturb some of the dirt. I don't know if that makes a huge difference, but I know I did it. I know I put it there. So little things. All right, we should be good. And now that I found out that all I got to do is run this other running water, I don't like run to the sink to clean that. Good little tool set. That's from Army Painter. $8 or something for 3 of them. I've used them quite a bit. DBA is very leads and turn writing. The problem is nothing's repeated a second time. That's one of the big things, and it's not organized how you or I would organize a set of rules. The wording is actually not that bad. I mean, I would, the guy doesn't want should have put more punctuation and one thought in each sentence, but it's not there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but it's like you go look for one thing, one aspect of the rules, and it was already mentioned in the unit description, and you don't find it where it's in what happens to them in combat. That's because it was already mentioned earlier for something like that. So it seems like it's just too much trouble to have done that. Like just mention aspects of the combat on the unit when they come up in each section, even if you repeat something else. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't write the rules. If I wrote the rules may not have been so good, but by God, people know how to play them better. There's some brilliant stuff in them. They need to be explained better so people don't just say, "Well, the hell with this," or. Okay, so here's the Gaz 67. I will continue calling it the Gaz 67. I don't know whether it's a GAZ 67 or it's actually pronounced like it is a name, Gaz. Hopefully somebody doesn't get offended by it. I've said it enough time, nobody mentioned it. Maybe nobody really knows, but if you were going to take that Commonwealth self-loading rifle and called it a FAL instead of an FAL, you'd get crucified. I would crucify you, but but I don't know whether it's Gaz or GAZ, so I've always called it a Gaz. So, I think it's probably safe to go ahead and do this now. And I still haven't done a durability test on this, and probably never will. Just because this does come off with like a fingernail scrape, but when it has paint on top of it, it probably doesn't. We open this and we don't wear it. There you go. All right, let's get our little Here's our little top. It's over here in the corner. This stuff goes a long way with only a little bit. 4 drops probably ought to do it. Laugh out loud. What? The part that I know what part you were laughing at. Well, it's true. It's only funny because it's true. My rules may not be as good, but by God, everybody know how to play them. There wouldn't be like people keep asking the same thing, and I'm telling you, it's not because people are stupid, because I've been there. Like the last, does this happen or this? It's not clear. Well, it isn't, and the problem is it's even worse if you're someone who's worked on their own rules, and you kind of get in this. You start thinking outside the box, and thinking, well, that doesn't make sense that it would be like this. Well, does this apply? I'm like, no, it doesn't say that. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because they really are great, and he does have some really good ideas. There's all kinds of juicy bits in there that are not readily. Um, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're not. You don't notice them immediately. You've used the white and the gray. You're also a World War II buff. I've only heard the way you call that gas utility vehicle. Okay, there you go. We'll just say however it works for us. I don't care how the Marxists pronounce it. Screw those guys. I don't care if the Marxists are popular right now. They're not in my household. So I do some computer gaming as well, or I used to. Um, but not to replace this, but kind of to motivate you to do both. And there's this brilliant little game made by a subsidiary company of Slytherin. You guys are all familiar with Slytherin, so I won't go into details of who they are. They're prolific in games that they put on, and I'm probably going to need 2 coats on this, but that's okay. I got all night. Um, this subsidiary company called Shenandoah Studios, and they do this series of games called. They make 2. They made a third one, but it kind of got discontinued. I found out about them on the iPad because I used to play them on the iPad. I had gotten them for the iPad, and then the 64-bit Apocalypse. Guess I didn't play them much on the iPad, but they're available on the Xbox, where I used to do gaming, and it's very unusual to get strategy type games that'll work on the Xbox. And I've played the hell out of these 2 games. Boy, I'm really going around my elbow to get to my ass to tell this story, but that's what I'm known for. But anyhow, I promise it's a good story. Um, there's 2 games that they make right now. They're both available on computer, on PC, and the Xbox as well. And it's called one of them is called Battle of the Bulge. How original, right? And the other one is called Race to Moscow or Advance to Moscow or something to Moscow. And they're kind of a counters type of game with like counters, but they're very elegantly done. It's deceptively simple, but it's a I go you go, but you move 1 unit at a time, and so somebody will go first, and it's an undeterminate amount of time will happen between the other one and between bounds. So you want to move things in a priority. Obviously, you only get to move 1 thing per turn, but you want to make sure you have time to move the things that are the most critical for you. Anyhow, so there's 2 games. There's the Moscow one, Race for Moscow. I don't think it's called that. It's called something like that. And the other one's Battle of the Bulge. I played the hell out of both of them. I've been playing the Moscow one to kind of finish some, what do you call it? Not accomplishments, some things you got to do, to get points or whatever for completion in it. And I was playing the Soviets, and in between your turns, when it comes up, it kind of gives you your briefing and everything. You'll get this patriotic May Day parade sound of music type of playing in the background. And my daughter was trying to do homework, and she was hearing. It's like, Daddy, take that stuff off. She didn't like that. She knew it was some kind of Marxist marching. you know. I thought that was funny. It's like, good, you won't grow up to be one of those folks. My dad came over from Cuba in 1960, so let's just say that we're not fans of that. So I said, Daddy, turn that off. Hey, I fight for anybody in a war game. Okay, I'll fight for anybody in a war game. Just a game. I was like I say, I'm a pacifist in my daily life, but I like to be quite totalitarian on the games table. That's why we do it, right? I don't want to play games about things I can normally do in my daytime. When do you get to ever take over the world? Never. Let's play a game about it. Cool. Devout pacifist every day. Well, people aren't trying to break into my house. You know what I'm saying. So then the rules might change a little bit, but pretty much leave people alone. I cause all my trouble while I'm at work. Let's put it that way. This looks really, really, really sloppy, but it'll all even its way out. I got confidence in this stuff. It's some pretty, it's a really cool product. The nice thing about it is, I guess it's got some polyurethane in it. I don't know where, but it's got polyurethane type properties, and it allows it to not form that many air bubbles when you do it. So I was using Model Master Acryl for a while, and then the local place stopped carrying the Acryl, or Rust-Oleum stopped carrying it because Rust-Oleum bought out testers and Model Master and all their stuff, and they kind of removed some of the lines out of production. I believe that was one of the ones that they took out of production, at least that color, flat black. So I started using the enamel Model Master Black, and what was happening is it was just drying up on me too fast. And their lid stuff. I've used Model Master forever for not everything, but for like the base coat. But their lids just suck. You use them one time and you can't get a good seal on them again, and it's just a poor design. So yeah, I gave this stuff a shot. I read about it on a YouTube video and was amazed. I was amazed how it worked. So, and I got to use it now because this shit's like $20 for this. Of course, this lasts forever. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff out of this. But and I was using spray paint too, and then it was behaving weird. I did some. I want to say it was a Hungarian light horse. I spray painted them, and something happened weird with my. I don't have bad spray paint experiences, but I think I may have been like too far away from it when I spray painted it, and it got all like pilly almost, which I'd never had happen before ever. It was just on the blacks. As slow as I paint, folks, I don't need any more slowing down. I do plenty of that already. The rules require constant study. Which one? DBA? All of them? Maybe all of them. I'm not a rules lawyer. They're a means to an end. I like to game, but I could game computer game as well. This is an excuse to paint figures and talk about these things and paint and look for other ones and who makes that one and all of the stuff that goes along with it. So here's the two war wagons, and And that's what we're probably going to jump on in the morning. And the fact that it's not covered perfectly, that is just, yeah, DBA. Yeah, they're, every time we play, we come up with less stuff that we find that we're doing wrong or that we thought was one way or another. But it still happens, even after almost 2,000 games. It's absurd that the learning curve is the way it is. But maybe that's why we're still playing it, because we find it very challenging. So maybe that's the upside, that we're not really aware of it. So I keep saying that I was going to rebase my Brits. I only have 4 of them right now when I do my next basing, but I keep forgetting to do it. This is the old 1990s basing that I had on these guys. These are the first figures that I painted using the similar method that I do now. And I figured, well, let me try it on my Brits, but I keep forgetting to do that. But I don't want to get pulled in too many directions, and I don't get these Hungarians done. So I still don't even know which ones I'm going to do after them, and not too terribly worried about it, because it'll happen when it happens. So this guy should be good to do the basing in the morning, and also these guys as well. So that's good. We just put the Pack 38 together, but we don't have to mess with him for a long time. I don't want to get pulled into the Germans yet. Everybody does Germans first, so we're going to do the Germans last. We're going to do everybody but the Germans. Everybody but the Germans first. Everybody does the Germans first. So. I'm always surprised, like, they'll have all these model companies that make all these World War II vehicles. They're Japanese companies, and all this stuff is the big German this, German that, German the other one. I think it just sells. Somebody else was selling World War II rules that have a picture of a German guy on the cover sell better than if they don't. I don't know. They're just sharp dressers. I don't think it's a white supremacist thing that they're buying all the stuff out. I just think that, they look cool. They're rat bastards, but they knew how to dress and they had cool tanks. But they're fucking assholes. Oh, man. That's why I like building the other assholes to go fight them. Battle the assholes. All right. I gotta do some World War II stuff, because you guys are gonna get a hoot out of. Can you imagine how Luke is playing a bunch of Russians? I mean, that's gonna be a hoot in and of itself. Oh, she'll like this. Oh, good. Well, I am the fixer-upper. I'm the glue meister. I've got all the glues and different stuff. And we don't need this little piece of that. That's Bolshevik. Yeah. Marxist. That's what I call them. That's the popular term now, is Marxist. Marxist sympathizer. Same coin, 2 different sides, or maybe it's the same side, 2 different coins. I don't know. I don't like being told what to do, so that stuff doesn't really work well for me. Okay, so we're gonna let this guy dry over here. That's all we used to game. Oh, come on, really? We're good. All right. Yeah. So this thing, talking about coats of paint, other than, let's see, it has a base color of that black, then it has probably 6 shades of the green, dry brushy, sealed again with gloss. So I put the decals on, then sealed it with a flat spray, then brushed on the flat, and then, yeah, so it's got lots of protectant on it. Okay. Well, yeah, and we got this guy to do too. This guy's almost done. How to put this? I'm telling you, when you start doing plastic models, the thing that blows your mind after not doing one in 20 years is these don't weigh a thing. So you end up like cutting a piece off of this, and it's like you're holding it lightly and you're still crushing it. It's like, what the hell? Yeah, this is a ISU 122. So this is, this thing fires every third turn or something like that. So we got to put the heavy machine gun there on the roof. But this is also going to have to go on a base that's bigger than that. I think I'm going to go over, I think I've got some wood. The only problem with doing wood is I want to round off the corners, and I don't want to spend a freaking year rounding them off. So we'll see. We don't have to do that just next. We need to do these war wagons so I can get Mitch off my case. When are you going to get him done? When are you going to get him done? When are you going to get him done? I'll get him done when I get him done, damn it. I'm having fun right now. But I want to do the World War II stuff in between because if it looks like I have to stop doing all my 15s and do only World War II, I'm never going to get around to doing the World War II stuff because I can't take like 2 years off because I'll want to play this and not play the 15s, and that doesn't really work. So I think doing them off and on is kind of a nice little break. I've got probably maybe I'm going to say 40 vehicles probably to do between all the nations. And I'm dying to buy some more with the tracks that are all built in, but I will not let myself buy a single one until all the ones that I've collected over, well, I mean, I haven't bought it in 20 years, but all the ones I had collected are complete and they're done. That's the only way I will allow myself to get more, or I give them away to someone or throw them in the garbage can. They need to be like out of my life to start over, but I might as well paint them while I'm doing them. So, my World War II gaming is not vehicle based. It's mostly based around like a couple squads on a side at the most, but the vehicles are just for variety. Two vehicles on a side is like plenty. So this is just for variety, and they're cool. And I'm actually enjoying doing stuff like that I don't get to do with the 15s, like put on these decals with using the micro set and the micro sol. And I hadn't used that stuff in probably 25 years, maybe 30 years, and probably didn't do it right as a kid, but it turned out pretty well. So I'm happy with it anyways. So doing a little bit of that other stuff, and I kind of like the way these have turned out. I need to take some pictures of them in the real light, not in this. But they're a little cartoonish, which is what I'm looking for. I want them to match the look of the figures. A lot of people do vehicles and they look better than the real vehicle. And I don't think that works well with how I want them to look like in compared to the figures. I want the look of the figures and the vehicles to kind of be the same thing. They're playing pieces. I want them to look realistic, but I like to have them look a little black line-ish, so to speak. Not sure if I'm explaining that right, but anyhow. Okay. Right. Yeah, I downloaded a demo of a game the other day that I believe I had when my computer crapped out 10 years ago or whatever. And I think it was called Men of War or something like that. And I downloaded the intro video to see the little play video. And after 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is like too stressful. This is not going to motivate me to paint figures. I'm like, delete. I used to play Close Combat a long time ago. That was a great freaking game. A great game still. That'd be like the best. If you could find a way to play that multiplayer with multiple people on the same side, kind of like Big Battle DVA, that'd be the best game ever. That would just blow anything else away. But the fact that it's just you against either the computer or another person, just doesn't really work. Everybody's on different time schedules. But that's a great freaking game. And I played a lot of it back in the day. One of my fondest memories of a buddy of mine was we were playing one of these. We were playing the Eastern Front one. I was playing the Germans and he was playing the Russians. And in the first battle, he'd saved all his points and bought an OT-133, which is a T-26 Russian tank that's a flamethrower. It may have a machine gun coax, but it's got a flamethrower turret or something like that. Anyways, it wasn't super expensive, but he didn't get very many points in the first battle. He ended up putting it on the reverse slope of a hill. and my little my German squad just shimmied their way up to the hill, got to the other side, and all of a sudden you heard. Ah! Yeah, I looked down and there was all these crispy critters. He'd laid an ambush, and I laughed. I laughed. Good times, man. Good times. It's a great game. Great game. Squad leader on computers, what they used to call it. And it's real time, but it's manageable enough where you're not running all over the place like a maniac. There's a couple other games that I have. One of them in particular that I'm particularly fond of. I've been following it out since it ever came out. It's been out for probably 6 or 7 years now. They've got two versions of it. It's called State of Decay. It's a zombie game where you find things, and it's not necessarily very fast paced, but it's you go and you got to sneak to a house and see what you might find there, and you've got to use materials each day, and it's some management, some action, it's a little bit of everything, but they've come up with these difficulty levels that there must be kids that are sitting at home that don't have a job or responsibilities and enjoy being stressed out because I just can't play them. It's just too much stress. It's like I don't need that in my life. I don't want a game that you can just take forever and is not captivating, but things can be too stressful, you know. Um, some of us have stressful jobs and we don't want stressful gaming. You play DBA, it doesn't matter how bad a game you have, it's not stressful. You know, you could take your time and do what you need to do. And at the end of the day, you're having a social experience. But when you're playing a video game against a computer that, things just appear out of nowhere and you knew you cleared it, like, that I don't need that in my life. Maybe some people enjoy it. Maybe I enjoyed it more when I was younger, but I remember many years ago, this was probably 1990. Well, see, my first computer was in 99, so it was after that. It was maybe like 2000, 2000, 2001. I was living alone at the time, and I decided on a whim to pick up a video game on a Sunday night. And I picked it up on a Sunday night and installed it. And I spent all night playing the game. I went right into work. I was that captivating, that game. And like the idea of doing something like that now would be like, no, there's nothing that would captivate me that much to do that all night. That was Half-Life, the first Half-Life. It was a spectacular game, but stuff like that's just not that important anymore. I do like computer gaming, but it's not, you know, it's not as captivating as it did back in the day. I'll play something and then a couple weeks up after playing it or a week, I'll be like, I've done all this before. How many more times do I have to save the world from Nazis or demons? It's just, I'm not going to save the world anymore from that stuff. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Well, maybe not stressful for you, but for those of us with a $20 riding on odds of Tony winning 4G to 2, it sure as hell is for me. Maybe DBA gambling isn't for me. So I'm not a gambler. Okay, I don't have the personality for it. I consider that to be a good thing. I don't like to take risks, even in a game where I don't lose anything or have any money riding on it. It's just not my part of my personality. But but I wouldn't play cards without money, and it could be little money. It could be nickel, dime, quarter. But just enough for there to be some kind of like a incentive to win. But I wouldn't play poker for no money. But then at the same time, you got to be careful who you play games with because it's the same thing as like the people that you game with. There's some people you don't want to game with because they're like their life must suck completely outside of the game environment because it's like if they don't win every single time, they're upset. Well, the other guy's trying to win too, you know? So as long as the journey you're having is enjoyable, it doesn't really matter whether you're winning or losing. So yeah, I wouldn't want to play. And the same thing with sports fans. I live in a college football town. It's, everybody here is cuckoo for that stuff. And I just don't like the way many sports fans behave just from my experience in that. It's like they're just a bunch of crybabies, you know, and it's like I go from in my environment, I wouldn't put up with it the way they behave watching a game on TV. If they showed up at game night and wanted to behave that way, I just wouldn't tolerate that crap, you know. You know those guys that, you know, well, when I do it it's fine, but when you do it, it's cheating, you know. That, you know, anyhow, it's just another topic altogether. But so here's these two little tops for that. We can forego putting that on here. What else do we got? It's 9:30. Certainly we can get some painting done. This is still drying, so we're not going to do that on here. So here's the. Did I start painting one of these guys with firearms? I did, didn't I? Oh, I started painting some helmets, then didn't finish. Yeah, you know why? Because I was trying to paint too many guys at once, and you know Tony doesn't work that way really well. So we're just going to forego doing that. Let's start painting one of these guys up. I saved my competitive side for work. So somebody a couple of years ago, and I don't know what it was. I was on vacation, and I don't think I was at a gaming vacation. I think I was on a family vacation. And this is somebody that I've known for a while. It wasn't somebody I just met on the street, but they said something along the lines of that I was always in a good mood. And then I told them, I said, well, you know, I get paid to be an asshole. I'm like, I'm not always in a good mood, but when, you know, when you're not asking me to do anything, nobody's interrupting me, and I got a drink in my hand. I mean, really, what could go wrong? Yeah, I told him it's, you know, I'm only an asshole when I'm being paid. Yeah. On my own time, I avoid problems. You know, when you got some kind of a management type problem, you've got to like a management type job, you've got to solve problems. But on your own time, you could just avoid them. Like, I don't like that guy over there. Perfect. I'll go this way. You know, I don't get paid enough on my free time to deal with bullshit, you know, so I try to avoid it if I can. So this guy's got a face. I see some lips here. And he's got one of those dickies that I like to call him, cough. And he's got a padded jacket. So let's paint his padded jacket. All right, so let's see how we're doing on this stuff. I saved my competitive side for work. Yep. Yeah, definitely. All right, we already got black there. Let's get a padded jacket type color. How about war paint skeleton bone? Even though I'm not a fan of war paints, unfortunately. I like their color selection. They just, I don't know, the stuff that they don't cover as well as Vallejo. They don't cover as well as most Vallejos because there's some Vallejos that still give you trouble. But they have a nice color selection, and they had them at one of the shows, and I'm like, I'll give them a shot. You know, I'll still use them. I got mostly brown colors, and I believe this yellow is theirs, which is a really nice yellow. So I just got it kind of as a something else, something else to do. We're just gonna paint his jacket. all in this color. Is it, for those of you guys that are freezing, I'm going to turn the ceiling fan on. Suck it. All these pictures, all these people posting pictures of their snow, man. So it's all fun and games until you have a day off and then you can't go anywhere. I guess it's not a good thing. Okay, I think the sleeves are not part of the jacket. Sometimes you got to figure out what is what on these figures. Let's just paint this torso part and not look at this and not paint the sleeves and see how that looks. Sometimes you have to do some of this figuring out as you go. It's not obvious what's going on here, what the sculptor was trying to get at. You never know. Placing bets on DBA games. Well, you should definitely bet on me if it's storming outside. I don't think I've ever lost a game when we were been in a lightning storm. What other things? If I'm playing Athenians, I'll probably win. What else? Or Irish. Man, my Irish have done really, really well. Good for them. Hey, I got them done just in time for St. Patrick's Day. I've been saying that for years. This time's like, finally can say it. I know, now I got to build a different Irish army for that time. Well, I own another one. I own Norse Irish, but they have a bunch of solid auxilia, and I already have an army with a bunch of solid auxilia that don't do too hot with, so maybe we'll wait on those guys. Like to build armies that are different from each other, from other ones that I have. No point in having a lot of the same thing. All right, so let's look at this. Is this part of the jacket or is it part of something else? Now I'm thinking it's part of the jacket because I don't see a split there between the arms and the. Well, let's just paint like it's the part of the jacket. If at the end of the day and I don't like it, I just repaint over it. It's not that big a deal. I paint super thin, so the advantage of painting super thin. The problem with doing World War II gaming and probably anything else, if it's a period you know a whole lot about and you see something that has like a glaring error, you have trouble getting into it. Like I was playing this game and it supposedly takes place at Kursk or whatever. So I'm playing the Soviets and I've got a couple of T-34-85s and I'm like, those aren't available for like another year. I'm like, I'm out. I mean, somebody that missed something like that's so obvious, you know. Um, there's probably all kinds of other things wrong with the game that are going to drive me up the wall. So I best not play that. I know a friend of mine who's a history teacher now. His specialty was Napoleonic studies, and he doesn't play Napoleonics because the same reason it just would drive him crazy that something's way off or it doesn't play the way he suspects it should be, and it would just drive him crazy. So I get it. I get that. So yeah, I got this. My wife decided to, for Christmas, to get, unbeknownst to me, give us one of those VR sets for my daughter and myself. And it took me a long time to pick a game out because there's not that much to choose from, and I didn't want to spend the money on something I wasn't going to play. So I decided to get one. It's called Walking Dead something, or what's it called? Saints and Sinners. It takes place in like New Orleans. So it's basically like a shooter, but you have to collect supplies and stuff. Which, so you've got both of the things. You've got to collect things. It's not terribly grinding. It's not a grindy game. I don't like grinding and monotonous stuff. But the unique thing about the game is that everything wears out as you use it. So if you build a knife, like a, what would be the correct way to call it, like a K bar, but like a military issue type of bayonet type knife to stab zombies. You could probably use it about 8 times, stab about 8 zombies, and then it falls apart. So you have to keep moving forward. And I know why they did it. They did it so that you have to keep getting supplies and play. Otherwise, you just get these super weapons, and you never have to worry about anything again other than making ammunition and stuff. But anyways, it's I was very apprehensive that it was like, this isn't going to look very good, or it looks good. It looks really good. It looks so. I was really impressed when I picked up a pistol and you could almost read the serial number on the side of it, and I was really, really impressed with it. Well, the problem with it is then you physically can suffer a morale check and fail one, because I mean it can mess with you. I wouldn't say it's a scary game, but it can startle you, and not too bad, but yeah, there's times where I had to stop playing. It was a little too stressful. I'm like, okay, I need to do this at another time of the day, or something like that. But it that's a good game. But the problem with it is that once you go into the world, you've got kind of like this home base where you play from, where you can build things and craft things and put things away and recycle things and all this kind of stuff. The time doesn't really move there. But as soon as you go out in the real world, you have like this wristwatch, and the time clicks down. And once it clicks down to zero, the alarms will go off, and you basically lose because you get overwhelmed by the undead. But you have probably about maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes when you start a mission. So it's not super time restrictive, but you can't screw around a lot. So you have to basically go in, do what you need to do, get all the supplies, and go back. Well, if you go back to your home base, it automatically advances it to the next day. So you can't like fill your backpack, which you can carry quite a few things. Fill your backpack, go to base, dump it, come back, and like say if you still had like half of the time, and collect some more things. As soon as you leave, it'll be the next day. The problem with that is that every day that passes, it becomes more and more difficult. So it's gotten to the point now where it's like sometimes you got to fight one or two at the same time. And I went around the corner, there was like a herd of 13. I'm like, you can't deal with that many of them, because sometimes they'll like reappear and stuff behind you. Like you'll clear an area because you could be like super tactical, like, okay, we need to go that way. So let me make sure that this corner over here is cleared and work my way out. So if I have to fall back, I go in. All the tactical stuff that you do if you're playing any of those kind of games. And they could reappear up behind you. So I had to like give that a rest. Like it's like this is like way too stressful. And then you'll read about some people that'll be like, no, it's not too hard. I'm like, well, you must have nothing to do, dude, all day long. I mean, I'm not that old, and I'm of the generation that has been playing video games since they were invented, you know. So it's not like I'm some boomer. I'm not a boomer. You're just a punk ass. But yeah, things can be too boring, and that's bad, and things can be too stressful, and that's bad too. So you got to find a balance in between the two things. So, but that's a cool game. That's a cool game on the Oculus. It's I just need to attach it to a treadmill, man. Not gonna be all buff and shit. You know what I mean? Get your workout, go out and kill zombies and run around, and you move forward and back with a joystick on your left. You've got like these two handle things. It's pretty cool. It's really pretty cool. I was impressed. I was really impressed. So the battery doesn't last more than you could probably play it for maybe 2.5, 3 hours. And then you got to charge it, which is fine because you need a rest. You don't want to have that on your face for that long, but it's plenty of time. Let's put it that way. And it charges up pretty quick. So the game is much better than the show. Let's put it that way. Show hasn't been worth a damn since like season 4, as far as I'm concerned. But we used to go and we'd watch it before we do our DBA gaming. Mitch and I'd pick at it like, no wonder that happened to you. You're an idiot. No, that's not what you do. You don't do that. You don't talk back to the TV. Good times. So this is kind of tedious, but this is extremely not stressful for me. Oh, maybe I should. There we go. Nobody noticed. Oh, you guys just have me in the background. I don't blame you. That's what I do all the time. That's what I used to do all the time. There's a couple guys I used to watch. I still follow them. I just don't know if they have anything new. One of them has. This guy must have a huge collection of board games, and no, it's not Rick. No, but this guy is. He. There's a couple of guys that I follow on YouTube, and I'm not going to tell you who they are. Um, why not? No, I don't want to make it sound like I'm picking at them. I'm really not. Both of them may not be any fun to play games with, and they may not be any fun at parties, but they're great to listen to and have in the background. Their meter and their, you know what I'm talking about when you hear somebody and their tone is just very relaxing, and they're going over something that you don't feel like you need to see intently what's going on all the time. One of them in particular uses almost like for a monologue, kind of like what I'm doing, but doesn't really show any activity on the screen. Like they'll show some of his stuff he's been working on. He talks about it, and sometimes he'll move it around and things like that. And I find stuff like that really relaxing. Unboxings, you hear the package opening and stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff, and that's what I used to have in the background while I was doing these videos. But filming an actual video keeps me from having to change channel. I can't just say, "Oh, I wonder what's going on with this guy." I can't. I'm on. I'm doing it. So I'm doing this for myself, and the fact that some of you guys are sadistic enough to find any usefulness in this, well, that's all the better. But yeah, there's several people I listen to that I think because it's depends on whoever's listening to it. Just like If you find something from Audible, you may like the person that is narrating it, and maybe it doesn't appeal to somebody else, but you'll find the people, the narrators that you like, and it's hard to stop listening to that book. It makes it really captivating. So I know one narrator in particular. I refuse to get any of his stuff anymore. He's just so, his meter is off. He mispronounces every other thing. Um, he has this. He's from the United States, but he has this pompous English accent type thing, which is fine if that's where you're from. But I don't know. He's goes all Shakespearean with his uh, with his narration, and but yet he mispronounces every not every other word. But man, it's a lot, and it just makes it very difficult to stay on task and continue to listen to him. And he's prolific, unfortunately. I mean, it's like everything in it. If you guys haven't done Audible, the way Audible works is, for the most part, every book that's on there there's only one narrator for it. So if you find a book, if you say you want to listen to a Tom Clancy book, a certain, like, let's say you want to listen to Hunt for Red October by Tom Clancy, and you don't like, this may be a bad example because there might be better, because a book that popular, there may be actually more than one narrator, but generally there's only one narrator. So if you get a narrator that you don't like, you either have to suffer with it or just get a different book, which is kind of unfortunate because this particular person is prolific in everything that they've done. I mean, they have, for historical stuff, this guy's everywhere, and it doesn't really work for me. But maybe it works for other people. That's okay. Same thing with actors. You might not want to see some movie because some certain person's in it. I get it. Okay. You probably need to lighten this up with white. There's no doubt that white is dead. White, for whatever reason, doesn't stay wet as much as the black. For some reason, I don't know why. But putting a little dot of white and see how long we can keep that one going. This thing has been closed for about a week and it's still plenty moist. Hold on one second, I'll be right back. All right. Need to get some rehydration. No more coffee tonight. We're gonna end up staying up all night or be tossing up and what? Nobody left? Same number of people that were here before? You guys fell asleep. All right. So we have this padded jacket here. He's wearing a Decay. This is what we're gonna call it. Let's give him a red around him, tie in some of that red for the Hungarian thing going on here. Let's do that. That's probably as far as we're gonna get. We'll do this red and then we'll call it a night because I need to start winding down or it's gonna be a pain. I'm still gonna get up in 7 hours from now. So this thing dry yet? Oh, it's the other one. Yep. For the most part. We'll try to get both of those war wagons done in the hour or so. Hour and a half in the morning. We'll try. We'll give it an old English try. Make sure I don't paint over his face at this stage, because otherwise I'll just have to paint over it again. No point in creating more work for myself. I got plenty to do. Don't need to create more hassles for myself. Okay. I don't think we're going to use yellow on this. I think we're going to use white when the time comes up to it. I think we should probably can bring this to the pure color here. It'll still be all right. And then we can probably add one layer that has a little bit of white in it. I don't want to go crazy. I skipped the step where this, I got distracted by being thirsty. I skipped the step where I added white to this. It's all right. We could do it. We could do it afterwards. Not big a deal. I always like having one step above and beyond the actual color to add a little bit of, I don't know, oomph, a little bit of forced shadowing. Not foreshadowing, but forced shadowing. Let's go ahead and do that color that we left off and said we didn't do. Which was this with white. Okay, show you what I got here, and then we're gonna wrap up for the night. We'll start off with a face. Well, we're gonna roll right into the war wagons, get them all done. So, get the wooden part. I enjoy making things look like they're made out of wood when they're really not. That's always cool. I thought about possibly painting them, but I don't think I will. I think they're going to be just natural wood colors. These guys are mercenaries. They're showing up to get money, not that they're loaded down with it. So we're going to have an emblem on each one of these two. This is what my brainstorming thing here is. I'm going to have an emblem here in the center of this piece of wood. And we'll have a different emblem on this one, but they'll mostly be brown. So, okay. Well, there you have it, folks. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. You guys have a good night and happy painting. Good night.